When you say energy, people are always confused. They always confuse potential energy for kinetic energy. It's like, what is energy in a nuclear explosion? Most people think it's that gigantic mushroom cloud, but that's the impotency of energy. Energy would be that softball-sized lump of fissionable material, and that's potential energy. Matter-to-energy conversion, of course, is mostly a lie. Nikola Tesla said this. I'm not making a heretical statement stating that. Nearly 100% of all constituent components in a nuclear explosion, by the way, remain after the explosion. The only thing that's released is the actual kinetic energy of the individual systems. And that's all a fissionable atom of uranium or plutonium is basically a super wound pocket watch that releases its spring. But of course, if you release a pocket watch spring, something way more powerful than that, but perfect analogy, all the constituent parts are still laying around. I mean, they're shot the hell all over the place, but they're still there. So it's the energy of the system, but there's no actual matter. And I grew up being told the same lie that you did, is that, well, nuclear explosion is matter to energy conversion. Well, it's not. It's a release of the energy of the actual system itself, the actual atomic energy that is of the system, but not of the nucleus. There is, of course, light generated, and of course, alpha radiation is just helium nuclei, and beta and gamma radiation, of course, is energy created as ether perturbation modalities that are, of course, shot out and completely dangerous. But anyway, if you actually ask a modern physicist to define energy, they actually won't come up with a correct answer. The only thing they actually can't define is what energy is, and they certainly can never define what a field is, in itself, of itself, by itself. That's the great enigma. It's like, define a field. If you do read answers from Richard Feynman and many of the other idiots of the cult of quantum, which is nothing other than a cult of atomistic materialism, which is what it is. Quantum, of course, comes from the word quantity. These people are not scientists in the true Platonic or Aristotelian sense. What they are is they are mathematicians. They don't believe in anything you can't count. 1, 2, I can count it. They literally believe that everything is quantifiable, and hence the word quantum. But quantum, of course, doesn't refer to Mother Nature or anything in natura naturans, or Mother Nature or her principles itself. And I actually read you a quote that is, of course, the operating principle in physics regarding energy, and then we're actually going to get the facts. Energy is the quantitative property that must be transferred to an object in order to perform work or heat. The object, the energy, is conserved quantity. The law of conservation of energy states that energy can be converted in form, but this is the funny part, but not created or destroyed. We all grew up hearing that same paradigm over and over again. Energy can only be transferred. It can never, you can't create it and you can't destroy it. It's only, and all of that is completely untrue, actually. For most things that we observe, that is the case, but there are countless examples where that's absolutely not the case, and that's not how Mother Nature works. Energy, of course, is not quantitative. It does not have to be transferred. When they actually started building electrical systems, they found out because, and this is what Charles Prody Steinmetz had to figure out, and why he wrote the book Transient Currents and Waves, as so far as having the stations to transform the energy, as we have transformers. They found out that it wasn't because the system was lossy. Enormous amounts of energy were actually disappeared into nothing. They weren't grounding out. It's that why is there just this massive amount of energy that's just vanishing into nothing? Well, it's vanishing out because of mutually destructive cancellation. Constructive and destructive interference. We actually have destructive energy interference where the energy is lost back in counter space. We could say subspace, we could say zero-point energy. I mean, who gives a damn what you call it? Mother Nature certainly doesn't give a damn about what pathetic human beings call that, whether it be subspace or the ether or anything like that. Of course, we actually have the only thing that human beings operate on currently is explosion technology. We haven't yet really understood or begin to grasp implosion energy creation, But no, energy doesn't have to be transferred. All current energy, too, basically 100% of everything that human beings use and generate from energy is decay energy, meaning the literal energy derived from the death of something or a system. We literally live, all of our energy comes off of decay. You know, burning coal, creating steam from radiation, heat generation, exploding liquid hydrogen and oxygen for rocketing. I mean, everything is, I mean, when we burn oil and coal, not that I'm adverse to it, I mean, it's of course dirty energy and it creates a million problems of its own. Oh, we're talking about microfossils here that have been deposited over countless eons and epochs. I mean, we're literally talking about, it's no different than, you know, feeding someone's corpse into your car. 99% of all energy on Earth is energy from death or decay. I mean, talk about, we think we're not cavemen. We make fun of cavemen, you know, wearing animal skins and, you know, carrying clubs. We make fun of them, but we're nothing other than cavemen with iPhones and Tesla cars. We're really no better than they are. We're really not. Some of us still have monobrows. I don't, but... So what is energy? You know, release versus potential. Talk about ether perturbation and force vectors. Potential energy and kinetic energy, the distinctions that people don't make the difference thereof. When we speak of energy, we're actually talking about in its true sense, because when we talk about kinetic energy, we're talking about the impotency of energy. The release of energy is not energy, it's the opposite of energy. When we burn calories and do work, that is the manifestation of energy, but it also makes somebody tired. They have to actually feed more fuel into their body to actually do that work. So true energy is the softball-sized lump of plutonium, or someone that's actually just ate, and they have plenty of potential energy waiting to do something. I mean, real energy is non-Cartesian. You know, we're talking about basically every variety of energy being derived from the ether, except we're talking about lesser modalities thereof, and human beings are only harvesting the energy from decay and death. But this notion that energy is neither created nor destroyed, only transferred, this is antithetical to Mother Nature, and it's antithetical to common sense and field theory. This is just simply not true. Spontaneous energy generation is unless these hairless apes on the earth all end up destroying each other, that's the next technology that human beings will take a leap into. We'll stop using the energy of death and decay, and we'll actually start doing spontaneous energy generation. Spontaneous energy manifestation is, you know, the third way. This ether inertia manifestation by having a point source, and I talked about this a couple days ago, point source field geometry for spontaneously generating energy from, when you say 0 point, we can say the ether, who gives a damn? I don't care what anybody calls it, but spontaneous energy generation from the ether itself. The only thing we're doing now is robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know, we're actually harvesting, you know, wind energy, we're harvesting nuclear decay radiation to heat up water, to create steam, to drive a turbine. Everything is the energy of death and decay. And that is caveman energy. I mean, that literally is caveman, because cavemen, just like this fire in my fireplace, cavemen, when they wanted energy to stay warm, you know, they burn logs. Or they'd kill animals, they'd beat animals over the head and they'd eat their flesh, right? Everything since cavemen until current times is all the energy of death and decay. That's all it is this endless cycle of death. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know, it's like tearing your neighbor's house, like they did back in Russia when, you know, people lived in the city and they were all freezing to death because there was no power. People were literally like going outside and tearing other people's houses apart, the wood off of it, so they could burn it to stay alive. That's all human beings currently do. They're like those freezing Russians in the 1940s, you know, stripping the wood off the outside of houses to burn it to keep alive. That's all our current energy technology. Not only is it not sustainable, it's caveman technology. It's nothing other than advanced caveman technology. nuclear power generator is nothing other than a super fancy, advanced version of burning firewood. I mean, that's all it is it's a steam turbine. We're harvesting the death of the heat from nuclear radiation to drive a turbine for electrical power generation. The only way humanity will evolve to the next epoch, if they don't kill each other, which they probably will, is spontaneous energy manifestation from the ether. And the only way, this is not my opinion, it's a fact, the only way that's possible is through advancing point source field technology. That's the only way it's possible. I told you there are, and it's so worth repeating, there are only ultimately 4 technologies that define the evolution of a species. We've got 2 of them currently, magnets and lasers. Both of those are point source technologies. The third one is parabolic point source relative to the vector of acceleration, or what human beings call anti-gravity. That's the third one. The fourth one is application of point source field technology for spontaneous energy creation by ether perturbation. That will be spontaneous ether generation, spontaneous energy generation from the ether through the application and technology of point source fields. There's no way around that. Until human beings actually develop that, we're probably going to kill each other, or nuke each other into oblivion, which is probably the case in short order. But currently we're not doing anything more advanced than this, burning logs in the fireplace. Because everybody, I love it when people have a Tesla car. They're like, oh, I'm not burning, They think they're not burning fossil fuels when they're driving it. Where do you think that electrical energy came from that is charging up the lithium-ion packs, of which there are countless thousands, in your Tesla car? It comes from coal or nuclear. You are literally burning fossils to create heat, to drive a turbine, to feed an electrical grid, which charges your effing car. Well, I drive a Tesla. I'm environmentally... No, you're not. You're just burning fossils. You're burning fossil fuels. Where do you think that electricity comes from that's charging up your friggin' Tesla car, you myopic mental midget? There's a great word, great one to remember. Myopic mental midget. You gotta remember that one. Because these people are troglodytic neophytes. They are troglodytic. I'm sure they're Luddites, really. They're Luddites. Yeah. There we go. I think I made that succinct. It's kind of a short video. Didn't have to talk too much, which is what I'm doing right now. Have a great week. Lux Evertas.